What is up, everybody? Welcome to another announcement. Today we are kicking off the signups for YouTuber Tournament 7. For those of you who are subscribed to Channel 96 News, you probably already knew about this, but it's now going to be official. Channel 96, not Channel 96, YouTuber Tournament 7 will be happening. It was originally going to happen a few years ago, but it's now going to happen this year. Tournaments are back. And this time I took in hours of effort to make this presentation, as we're starting to get back into using PowerPoint again. We started using PowerPoint for our DFL channel, and now we are using it for this as well. So, let's figure out what's going to happen next. So, YouTuber Tournament 7 is going to be the 7th installment of our YouTuber Tournament series, where we have currently had 6 tournaments. And we are now going to start the 7th one. So, yippee! Without further ado, let's explain a bunch of things, because if you can see up here, we got 13 slides. It's not as big as the DFL presentation, but it's still pretty big. Alright, so here's the agenda. We now cover an agenda at the start of every PowerPoint presentation. Things that we're going to be talking about in this video is the introduction to the tournament type requirements, as there are different types of YouTuber tournaments now. There are, depending on the league you are in the YouTube map. Now, they have updated since the last time we've done this, because YouTube Channel Crawler has updated their stuff. So there are now, so some of the leagues have actually been removed. So therefore, we had to make some changes to the requirements alongside that, because that's how we draft players if we can't find nobody. Then after that is the previous winners, which we will go over every person who has won the tournament before in the past, as well as a timeline on how the tournament's going to work, the procedure and how things are supposed to run each day, and a summary based on, well, a short summary. It's not really a long summary, based on what this can be. So let's start. The introduction. Do you want to have a chance to make history of being a great content creator around the huge metaverse? Then join YouTuber Tournament 7 for a chance to compete for the ultimate prize of being featured on the channel. I will re-feature the other 6 in a second. Just give me a moment to put them back on. But YouTuber Tournament 7 will definitely be fun to host. And yeah, it'll be great. All right. Now it's time for me to explain the rules. But before we get into that, let's explain about the rules of content before we do anything. I don't want bullying. I don't want any hate speech, no racist jokes, none of that bullcrap. Anything that violates the YouTube terms of service will disqualify you from the tournament, and you will be replaced by somebody else, even if you are in the final 2. So just don't cheat or do anything bad on YouTube, and you should be good. All right. Now the tournament type requirements. There are 6 types of tournaments. We will host one of each per year. There is the graphite There is going to be a graphite tournament, which in order to qualify for that, you must have anywhere between 1 subscriber and 999 subscribers. This league is for beginners of the YouTube world. But we also want proof that you have at least been active enough to survive in all the episodes, in case if you get put up for elimination every single episode. So the minimum amount of videos required in the Graphite League is 20. And your channel must be 2 weeks old, because I don't want people just creating an account just to be a bot and just, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Next up is the Opal League. You must have 1,000 subscribers to access these types of tournaments, but you may not have any more than 9,999. This league is for intermediate YouTubers who are starting to get a feel of things around the YouTube world. You must have at least 100,000 views on your channel in order to access these tournaments, because I don't want, again, for the same reason, I don't want sub-bot channels like things that are filled with bunches of memes and stuff that are spamming the same video over and over again just to get subscribers. So for that reason, you must have at least 100,000 views to prove to me that you have an audience that is willing to support your channel through the tournament. And you must have at least 200 videos as well, for the same reason. We want to find really good YouTubers who we know will compete. And your channel age must be at least 1 month old. We don't want these channels that are just created in one day and immediately have 1,000 subscribers. That doesn't tell me anything of how well of a YouTuber you may be if you're suited enough to join this tournament. Alright, moving on to the 3rd tier, which is the Bronze tier, the Bronze League. In order to join a Bronze tournament, you must have 10,000 subscribers. 10,000 subscribers is a very good feat. Now, the bronze tournaments are for advanced YouTubers who are starting to get really good at what they do on the platform. You must have anywhere between 10,000 subscribers all the way up till 99,999 subscribers. Anywhere outside that range will declare you ineligible for the Bronze tournaments, as you would not be in the Bronze League. Now, minimum view count is 1 million. Shouldn't be too hard for some of you to get, unless if you just, again, ask millions of people for subs for no reason. And then from here on out, in this tier and above, you must have at least 500 videos on your channel. Which some people are like, oh, that's impossible. Well, look at my channel. I'm not even in that league, and I have like 1,000. I have like almost 1,500 videos. It's proof that you've been around for a long time. It proves to me that you have experience as well. And the channel minimum age is 3 months for this category. If you can upload 500 videos in 3 months, that'd be great. But until then, you must wait. Now, in the silver tier, you must have 100,000 subscribers. The Silver League is for experts only, as these tournaments are filled with people who have won a play button. At least if they legally did so. These only the experts will compete in these and will definitely show a fight against each other. You might know some of the people in this tier if you're really lucky, but most of them are not very well known because there's at least about 10,000 people who have had this award. Maybe more, I'm not sure. I think around 50,000. So yeah, you must have anywhere between 100,000 subscribers and 999,999 subscribers. Your minimum view count is 10 million. Again, for a YouTuber at that level, this shouldn't be hard, as long as you're attracting a fan base like you should be. If you're falling behind, and you won't be able to join this tournament if you're at that subscriber threshold. And again, the minimum videos required is the same for silver and above, or for bronze and above, so you don't have to worry about uploading much more after you uploaded 500. The channel age minimum is 6 months. So you must have this channel open for at least a half a year before you're able to compete in Silver League tournaments. Moving on to the Gold League tournaments, these ones require you to have 1 million subscribers, as these tournaments are for extreme players of the world. Extreme YouTubers who dedicated a lot of their time to making content for their fan bases. This is the tier where you'll start to recognize people, because there's a lot of them. There's actually a typo there. That's not supposed... The maximum sub count for gold is not supposed to say that. The maximum subscribers a gold tier member can have is actually unlimited, with the exception of if you are in the top 20 in the world in terms of sub counts. There's a league for that as well. So ignore the max sub count for gold, as gold is really the last tier that's by sub count before you get to position wise, which is going to be the next one. But you will need 100 million views, same 500 videos, and this channel must be open for at least 1 year. Which, again, I don't see most people reaching 1 million subscribers in 1 year. So I wouldn't believe it if I saw it happen in like 3 months or so, or 6 months. And then the final tier is the Diamond League tournaments. These tournaments are for the masters of the world. Every year, the top 20 YouTubers in the world in sub counts will have their own tournaments as well. These are the YouTubers where the biggest rivalries are in right now. Like for example, T-Series, PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, Coco Melon, ESET India, people of that level of popularity. So the best of the best will be competing in that. And this will really ultimately decide who's subbotting and who's not. Because, again, it's up to the viewers who wins each tournament, not me. It used to be up to me in the early days of the tournaments, but not anymore. Now, there are requirements even if you are in this tier. You still need to have at least 500 videos. And you'll have to have a channel age of 2 years or more, because this is the big leagues. This is the tournament that you want to qualify for. It's going to be a lot of fun to see some of the big giants clash. All right. Now, for this specific tournament, YouTuber Tournament 7 will be a graphite tournament, which means this tournament is for beginners. So if you are a beginner and have met the requirements to join in the graphite tournament, then this tournament is for you. So people just like you, also in this tier, will also compete against you. But not always, because there's certain rules in this tournament where there'll be certain teams, which we will get to in a moment. But first, let's take a look at history of these tournaments, starting with the past winners, and I'm going to explain how each tournament was structured and how it went down. Starting with Tournament 1, who the champion of that was Chief Breezy. This was the first ever YouTuber tournament we did, and we hosted this actually with our PlayStation solely. We didn't have a mobile device at the time, so we only did this with PlayStation. And there was actually only 6 people in this tournament, and all of them were my friends. This tournament was just a tournament for friends to start off. But then evolution kicked in. Each episode in Tournament 1, we eliminated 1 player, and there was only about 5 episodes, because there's only 6 players. But we are going to increase the number of episodes in Tournament 7, because you'll find out soon enough. Moving on to Max Price, who is the champion of Tournament 2, and how that went down is we had 20 players in this tournament, just like we do in this tournament, Tournament 7. The only difference is in Tournament 2, there were no teams. It was all tried not to be the worst, which was very, very boring to do, because there was no hype. There was no immunity. The bottom 2, and there was only 10 episodes in this as well, because every single episode in that was a double elimination, until we reached the final 2, where the winner would ultimately be chosen. And that winner was Max Price. Moving on to Tournament 3, the champion of this one is the biggest one, that's the biggest name on YouTuber tournament history, Wasabi. He is the winner of YouTuber Tournament 3. How this tournament went down is basically the same format as YouTuber Tournament 2, except there were 30 players, and every single episode was a triple elimination. So this one was a little bit harder to manage, but we managed it well. And then we moved on to YouTuber Tournament 4, which is exactly the same as the last one, except with 40 players. And every episode was a quadruple elimination. Now, this type of tournament was very hard to do. Now, this is when I started getting stressed out trying to do these tournaments, because I had, on the first episode, I had to scan through 40 videos to see who was the worst, the 4 worst, because the 4 worst were getting eliminated. But we managed to finish the tournament, and the winner of the tournament was Julian M., who is my friend in real life. So he's won such a big tournament. Then we move on to YouTuber Tournament 5. Now this one is we were going to start off with the same format, with it increasing to 50 players and 5 players going home each episode. However, after about like midway through the season, we decided we was going to do a bracket style, which we did not finish that either, because we just lost interest in it because there was so many players. It was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. But the viewers already knew who they wanted to win, and that winner was Max Talks. So we ended up picking him to be the one who wins the tournament so that I can move on to the next one. So yeah, that was really the only shortened tournament ever. Moving on to YouTuber Tournament 6. This is the last one that we've done. And this one was quite interesting. We started off with about 32 players, I think. It wasn't too bad. It uses a similar format to this one. There was with the exception of there was only 4 teams. There was 4 teams of 8. So they were large teams. And each episode, 1 player went home until we reached the end of the tournament. There were occasionally double eliminations as well. And then eventually, when we reached the final 3, the finale started and Poto was picked as the winner. And now for the next 2 tournaments, YouTuber Tournaments 7 and 8, on the screen it says TBD, which means to be determined. YouTuber Tournament 7 will be determined by the end of March, as that's when the finale is going to take place near the end of March. Which is also around when Fortnite Season 2 starts as well, so keep that in the timeline. Alright, speaking of the timeline, here is the process of how this season's going to be structured. Now, on the first dot, it says signups. That's what this video is for. It's going to be a signups for the tournament. This is when the signups for the tournament are open to players who qualify for the tournament. Again, this is a graphite tournament, so if you meet the requirements to participate in a graphite tournament, then you can feel free to sign up. If you don't, well, the only reason you wouldn't be able to qualify for a graphite tournament because it would be your sub count. That would mean you would have at least 1,000 subscribers, and that would put you in the next tier up as long as you did everything right. Well, you would be in the Opal League regardless of if you qualified for Opal tournaments. However, if you wouldn't be able to participate even as an Opal member. All right, the next phase after that is the draft. Now, what is the draft? We'll get to in a minute. Spots left open will be picked randomly by the players who fit the requirements. Again, there are 20 spots in this tournament. If they don't all fill up, that's what we're going to use to pick the players. Now, after draft day on the season will get to team selections. The teams will be randomized as there will be 5 teams this season at least, and you will be put on a random team. There is no captains, there's no picking teams, it's all going to be random. That way you get to know your rivals a little bit better. And then we move, after that phase is done, we then will start the season. And every episode, well, I guess we're going to just say there's going to be 3 phases in a cycle. I guess, because we're just going to use each phase as an episode. Phase 1 of every cycle. Teams will compete as an AI, meaning it's going to be AI versus AI gameplay. One team represents one AI, another team represents another AI. And all the teams will compete, all the teams or players, depending on which phase of the tournament we're in, will compete for immunity in a random simulated challenge. Now, these challenges are all going to be games like Axis Football, Brawlhalla, Ice League Hockey, Hoop League Tactics, Hoopland, certain Roblox games that have this sort of system, and so many others that we can possibly do, and certain things like Minecraft would do as well. So it's definitely going to be fun and interesting trying to come up with, I guess, 18 challenges, because I think that's how many challenges we need this season before we reach the finale. So you take 18, multiply that by 3, because there's 18 cycles before the finale. You multiply that by 3. What do you get? You get 54. So there's guaranteed to be the 55 episodes, not including episode 0. Episode 0 is going to be the team selections. So that's when that's going to take place. Now, phase 2. After phase 1, is phase 2. Phase 2 is when the losing team is announced. Well, it's also announced at the end of phase 1, but it will be announced again at the start of phase 2. Meaning the losing team is announced, and during this process, they're members of the latest video of every single member on the losing team will be featured onto YouTube. That's where the YouTube part of this competition comes from. It's this phase right here. This is when you are on the chopping block. Your video skills will come in handy to keep you alive. If you have a terrible video, you are probably going home. If you have a good video and the viewers like your video, you will stay in. Now, there will be no double eliminations this season unless if I forget to make an episode or a few episodes. So keep that in mind. You probably won't, and these episodes are probably going to be shorter because they are different phases now. Normally, we would put all the phases together in one, but we're not doing that anymore. We are splitting them up into 3 parts, totaling up to, and we would have a lot of episodes now. So this will be hard to keep track of. So yeah, feel free to enjoy watching this tournament unfold. Now, also in phase 2, the viewers will vote. There will be a poll in the community tab of this channel that will go up, and whoever has the most votes out of the 4 YouTubers, or 3 or 2 or 1, depending on how many are left in a team. Well, it depends on how many are in the team, but if there is, it's mostly going to be 4s and 3s. Okay, sometimes there's going to be 2s, but there's only one possible way that can happen. And whoever has the most votes is out. And in Phase 3, we will announce the results of the voting. And then we will say our goodbyes to a player in the tournament. And we'll go into depth on why, or at least my analysis in hoping to improve for their future, just to try to make that video longer, because Phase 3 might be the shortest phase of all the phases. And then after that, we will restart the cycle and go back to Phase 1 with the remaining 19 players, and so on until we reach 2 players. Now, so it's going to be exciting. You now have about like a few days to upload videos. Sometimes you don't even need to, in case if you survive long enough. Now, certain teams will be competing in challenges depending on how many players are left on their team. Or players can switch teams at any time, depending on if a player count drops too low. I forgot to put this on the PowerPoint, but that's at that. Now, again, there is a merger. During the merger phase of the tournament, which is when we reach the Final Four, there will be 2 challenges, or 2 cycles, and then a finale. So it'll be like 1 week, and then a winner will be determined. In the merger, 1 player will be granted immunity per cycle, not episode. Each video now can be considered an episode. 1 player will be granted immunity per cycle instead of teams getting immunity. That's because there's going to be 1 team. And if teams were getting immunity and there's 1 team, everyone would get immunity. We can't have that. So only 1 player will get immunity, while the rest of the players will have to fight for survival, in the hopes of making it to the semifinals or even the finals, as the merger is basically the start of the quarterfinals. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens then. And then after that is the finale. Again, the final 2 there will be a vote for one of them to win the tournament. So that's the timeline. Now we're going to go into depth on the procedure on how things are going to go on each of the 5 main parts of the tournament. In signups, players will comment on this video to join the tournament, meaning if you want to join the tournament, you must comment that and say, hey, I want to join the tournament. You can't just comment anything, because some people will not want to play in the tournament and comment anyways. But you must comment that you solely want to participate in this tournament. Then after that, I will review your channel. Well, it won't be reviewing your videos, but there is a statistic page in your About page that I'll be looking for. That will tell me if you have enough views or enough videos. More views is not going to be a thing this tournament, because this is a graphite tournament and it's designed for beginners, but it should also tell me how many videos you have made. If you have less than 20, upload more, and then you will be in. You will have until if you fit all the requirements, then you are in the tournament. If you do not fulfill all the requirements, then you will not join unless you complete your requirements by January 31st, 2024. You don't need to submit a new application if you previously weren't eligible, if you've already submitted a comment saying you wanted to join the tournament and then become eligible. So just keep that in mind. Now, here's another thing. Hiding your sub count is not allowed, as it becomes impossible for me to determine what league you are from or if what requirements you have met. Why is that? Because there are certain YouTube channels that choose to turn off their sub count, meaning no one can view how many subscribers they have. Trust me, this is exactly why you must have one subscriber in order to join this tournament. To avoid people like that. Because if I didn't, somebody could just, from like the Gold League, could just join this tournament against all these beginners, and it would be a very unfair advantage, as everyone would definitely be screwed. Alright, moving on to the next part, the draft. The spots that are left open will be filled by channels that have met the requirements to join this tournament. So, don't worry, the drafted players aren't going to be like OP players. They are going to have their requirements too. As this will be a tournament to see which ones will get in. All players that are drafted are from the YouTube channel crawler, which you should check out that website, and you will. And basically on that website, I put in the information that I need, like the requirements to join the tournament, because that's how I filter them out through that. And then we will fill the remaining spots, because I don't think all 20 spots are going to be taken, especially considering that our fan base is slowly recovering again. There's about a couple that maybe might submit an application, but I don't expect there to be 20 active people submitting an application to join this tournament. I don't think we've ever had that many people submit an application for them to join the tournament. Or not even have 20 different people comment on a single video ever. Now, the draft will take place on January 31st, 2024. That is exactly why I said you must have the requirements done by then, because that's when the rest of the spots will be filled. Hopefully, I don't have to do a 20-player draft, because then that would be annoying. Hopefully, I only have to do, 10, maybe? If I'm lucky. I don't think I'm going to get that far either. I might get, 1 or 2 people signing up, but hopefully, I encourage you to do more than just that. You don't have to compete if you don't want to, but I encourage you to compete if you really want if you really want an analysis on this. All right, here's part 2 of the procedures. Now, when in the season starts phase, the season starts on February 1st, 2024, which is also the same month of our YouTube anniversary. The season will last for 2 months, so February and March will be reserved for Tournament 7, and if all goes well, April and May will be for Tournament 8. Now, the season starts with 5 teams, and it will decline as the season progresses depending on how many players are left. Now, let me explain this in detail here. Every 4 cycles or so, a team will be disbanded. In the first 4 cycles, which is basically the first 12 episodes, there will be 5 teams. Then after that, we drop the 4 teams. Another 12 episodes will pass. Then we move to 3 teams, then to 2, and then eventually after that, the next phase would begin. Now, teams that get removed will be merged with other existing teams. If your team, the team that loses the most challenges, will have their team get removed. And everybody who's on that team when it gets removed will be moved to another team randomly. and it will refill all the teams to 4 players, and this will happen about 4 times this season. So, yeah. Now the team names, there are team names. They change depending on the time, or they will change depending on who they're on. They change each season if I decide I want to change them. But this season, the team names are Team Wranglers, Team Stampede, Team Mountaineers, Team Outlaws, and Team Coyotes. Each of these 5 teams are going to have 4 players each, so feel free to get ready, I guess. Then, when in the merger phase, when we have 4 players left, all the remaining teams will be disbanded, and teams will no longer exist. They will be everyone for themselves, as players will compete individually, which means you will be competing for yourself rather than for a team. Only one player will win immunity per cycle. I need to change that again. I really do. But don't worry, the merger's not going to happen until late March, so you don't have to stress out. And that's if you make it that far. 80% of you are going to be gone by the time the merger happens. And then we move on to the finale. When 90% of you are gone, the final 2 will then take part in this event. Instead of doing a challenge, we will showcase 10 videos from each finalist, and it's not just going to be solely the newest videos either. It's going to be the 3 newest videos, the 4 most popular videos, and the 3 oldest videos will be showcased on your channel. And then after all of the videos have passed, there will be a poll to determine the winner in the community page. And then after that poll ends, we will announce the winner of YouTuber Tournament 7 and put him in history forever, as they will be featured on our YouTube channel for the rest of its life, I guess. So that's why you should win and compete in this tournament, because it's a very important thing to do if you want to be featured forever. Alright, so the summary: you get a chance to be a legend of this YouTube channel. You get to be a legend. We already have 6 people who have achieved this. Will you be the 7th? Alright, so join in the comments below. Again, if you're in the Graphite League and have met the requirements to play in this tournament, which is, again, Graphite League having 0 to 999 or 1 to 999 subscribers, as well as having 20 videos, and your channel must be at least a week old. If those requirements are fulfilled, you can comment down below and say, hey, I want to join this tournament, and you will be put in this tournament. Now, this is Huge01. Peace out, and I will see you guys later in the draft. And that will be that.